Hey LeGrand Alive, this is Will Bowman, and this is Coffee with Will and Mark Davidson, brought to you by Valley Realty, Marketplace Family Foods, Northwest Furniture and Mattress, Grand Ron Hospital, and Sea Bright and Dentistry. And I'm here today with Mark Davidson, who has come in to drink coffee with me and talk. He's a local political candidate and a county commissioner, and we're not going to talk about politics today. We're going to talk about him. So thank you so much for coming in and chatting with me. So, I mean, a lot of people can, if they want to know your political orientation, people can go online to LeGrand Alive and see that. You know, they can kind of go on and they can watch the debates that we've done. I mean, I think we did an interview with you earlier. Brent did an interview where he talked a little bit about that. But I mean, I'd like to know a little bit about you as a person, just how you came to be in LeGrand and just who you are. You know.
Okay.
So tell me about yourself. Starting, how did you get invested in LeGrand?
Well, I'm a native Oregonian, youngest of 5 kids, and I was born when my family lived in Cottage Grove, which is a small town in rural Lane County in western Oregon. And my dad and his brother were in the road construction business. And so in 1971, when I was 5 years old, and they were still working on completing Interstate 84 through here, they got 2 jobs over here crushing for the last section on Ladd Canyon and Cabbage Hill. And so we moved over here, moved to LeGrand. I remember making several trips over here with my mom looking for houses, and she had looked at Pendleton and looked at LeGrand, and she liked LeGrand, and so that's where we settled. And
what year was that?
Been there ever since, 1971.
1971.
Yeah.
Okay,
and,
so that's, if I can do my math,
45 years.
Yeah, I'm college educated, 45 years.
Yeah. So that's how we ended up here. Been here ever since. Left briefly for some schooling, but LeGrand's always been my home. Went through school here, met my wife here. We've started a business. And
what's that business?
We own the machine shop at Blue Mountain Auto Parts.
Okay.
We run it in partnership with
Monty.
With Monty that owns the store. So it's seamless, basically. All of the billing goes through the store. So if you have, if you're doing business with both the shop and the parts store, you don't see any difference. You get one statement at the end of the month, and so it's integrated in that way. We've been in business for 26 years, since February of 1990. I was 23 years old when we started.
Wow.
So, my wife and I have a daughter, Kiva, and 4 grandchildren, 3 girls and a boy, Haley, Miley, Sydney, and Kai, ranging from 12 years old to Kai is 5 months old now, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. And, the grandchildren and our children in general is why I think you get involved in your community. Is you want to make it a better place. You want to, be sure that the future holds good things for everyone that lives here. My kids have moved away a couple of years ago and went to the Portland area and have determined that it wasn't the big city isn't for them, and so they're in the process of laying out, getting their plans in order to come home, and we're really excited about that because we miss the grandkids a great deal.
Absolutely. So speaking of making your community a better place, you have been involved in politics for how long?
Well, my first involvement was back in '98 when I ran for 97, when I ran for city council.
And then after that, you became a county commissioner, and then up to today, you are still on the board until possibly next month when there's going to be a debate or an election.
An election.
Yeah.
So the way what really got me interested first off in politics and community development is my dad's involvement on the LeGrand City Council when I was a child. He was a councilor and then later the mayor for about 10 years total up to the time of his passing. he was the mayor at the time of his death in 1984, and that really whet my appetite for local politics and being an active and engaged member of the community.
Sure.
And that was quite interesting to me. He helped on some state and congressional campaigns. When Denny Smith was elected as our congressional representative in '79, Dad had been a campaign chair, local campaign chair for Denny, and we got tickets to Reagan's first inaugural, and we went back there.
Oh, wow.
Went to the inauguration, viewed the parade, went to all of the Smithsonians, and
Wow.
and it was a lot of fun. My one of my brothers lived back there in Alexandria at the time, so it was really convenient to visit my brother and his family and do all the sightseeing and see the inauguration. And I've never forgotten that. It was a real interesting experience.
Interesting. So you see politics as sort of a vehicle for change in this community. What is it about this community that's kept you here all these years and made you want to invest in it so much?
Well, having lived here since being 5 years old, it's really where most of my memories begin is here, and there's always been that sense of community and family. Two of my siblings still live here, and it's where you grow up. It's where you're comfortable. You invest there. You build a life there. My wife is from here. We just really haven't ever found a reason to go anyplace else. We like the lifestyle, the pace, and we've been successful in our business and in her career, and so we can provide for ourselves and a future. So I just don't know why you'd go anywhere else. I mean, I love it here.
Okay. So I guess the question is a little bit of a moot point then. If you were not to be elected as county commissioner coming up, you would stick around and you would probably do what? Invest more in your business?
Well, yeah, I'd spend more time in my business. Probably look for other business opportunities. Return to a more normal life instead of having there'd be one less hat to wear and a lot less travel, and more time at home with my wife, and more time to spend with the grandkids when they are here, and so I really enjoy the commissioner's job. I find it very rewarding and challenging, but it's not the way I define myself. And I've been through enough campaigns with my dad and in my own career to know that you don't win every one, and life doesn't end if you don't win that campaign. It just means that there's a fork in the road, or another door opens, and you look for the next opportunity. But I'm not leaving LeGrand or Union County anytime soon.
So that's an interesting question, identity, because identity is, you define yourself as something, and your identity is very close to you. Our self-identity is very close to us, and things which, we don't define ourselves as, if we don't achieve them, we can kind of roll them off our back, But our identity, if there's something that we define ourselves at, if we fail at that, or if we, do something that is out of keeping with that, it oftentimes has a much more emotional response for us. So I guess I'm interested, if you don't define yourself as a politician, what do you define yourself as?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a husband and a father and a grandfather, and a brother, because at the end of the day, those are the people that really matter the most to me. And those are the people whose opinion matters to me. I always tell people that as long as my wife, my daughter, and my grandkids love me, the rest doesn't really bother me very much. And I guess I would add my sister and my brothers to that as well. But, and that I think is something that has served me well, is that though I do care what other people think about me, I don't have to try and please other people always to feel comfortable with the decisions I make. I'm able to divorce from my decision-making process the desire to please everyone, because
Sure.
you
can't
do that.
please everybody.
Right,
Yeah.
That's the thing that folks that are new to to local politics or any politics, is that you're going to have to make a decision, and that decision isn't going to please everyone. And sometimes you'll anger a very large group, sometimes it'll be a smaller group, but there'll be, even in the most innocuous seeming decision, there'll be somebody who'll say, yeah, that just isn't the right thing. I don't agree with it. And, you have to, you just work through that. And that's why it's more difficult to run as an incumbent at times, because you have a record and you've got to defend it. And when you have an opponent who is a newcomer to it and have no record, they can tell the people whatever they think they want to hear, and be rather vague and unspecific, and they don't get called on the carpet yet until they do get in a position where they've got to defend a record. And then it gets more difficult.
Yeah, and it's got to be rough. Like, I can't imagine being a public official. Must be one of the most difficult types of jobs in that context, because you're right, you can't ever please anybody. And the people who are pleased, they don't say anything. They just kind of keep doing what they're doing, and they kind of smile, and next election they probably will vote for you. The people who are dissatisfied are the ones who are the loudest, the cruelest, the people who are, but the most passionate. I'm not downing on people who are civic dissidents. I mean, that's why we live in the country, what we do. But it's got to be very difficult emotionally to be in a position of public power and have to deal with some of those, deal with groups of people not necessarily liking you.
Well, there's certainly different people handle it in different ways, and it affects some people more than others. And I think my dad was first elected to city council, I was 8 years old. And so, for more than 40 years, in one form or another, I've had some kind of experience with people who aren't always happy with either a member of my family or myself. And as I said, it's not as if their opinions don't matter, but I have learned to not base my self-worth or my satisfaction or my overall happiness on what the broader number of people think of me or say about me. I mean, the criticism and the attacks, kind of just roll off my back. Now, it isn't as if I wouldn't want to leave anybody with the impression that criticism that I think is deserved or reasonable, is completely unheeded. But there is clearly a difference between constructive criticism or dialogue that can help, an exchange of ideas and a broader understanding of, say, a particular situation and how a decision was arrived at and why, and what the different viewpoints are. I mean, those are all very constructive, but when it crosses a line into, the biased and baseless attacks, I don't let those things keep me awake at night. So.
Well, fair enough. I don't envy your position as a politician.
Well,
I mean, it's not something that I would ever necessarily want to do. I mean, that's just a personal preference, but,
Yeah, everyone's different. We have different personalities, and makeups and interests, and certainly there are people that are better suited for different roles.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about with you, or?
Well, no, I don't think so. You got right to the core of it.
Thank you so much for coming in and
Sure.
chatting with me.
Thank you, Will.
And thank you, La Grande Alive. This video was brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress, Grand Ron Hospital, Marketplace Family Foods, Valley Realty, and Seabright Dentistry. Tune in to La Grande Alive for more local content.